Everybody, I'm back. I'm here with Claudia Humphreys, and my name is Aretha Simons. For those of you who don't know me, this is your first time to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we want to see your comments. Give us some feedback, some topics that you want to talk about. But last time we were on, Claudia said something that I thought about, and I thought, wow, I've been helping people start nonprofits since 1999. And she said when she was doing her nonprofit, which is having several uh, safe houses for people in domestic violence. And she shared with us that she was a domestic violence victim. And she said something that was so powerful. She said a lot of times she was working and doing so many things. And a lot of times she was working and she believed she was working so hard that she was doing more of saving herself. That
Mhm.
hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought to myself, I wonder how many other nonprofits are doing that. You're doing the work and you're working sometimes away from your families, away from your kids, and a lot of these nonprofits are saving you. Sometimes some people don't get it wrong. I might sound like a score counselor. Some people don't need to start a nonprofit. Some people are not ready. So
Right.
we're going to talk about that today. Are you ready to start a nonprofit? Because you know what we always say, you got to be ready to be ready. But if you're not ready, people say fake it till you make it. We're going to talk about some of the things in between that faking it while you're trying to make it. So join us for the conversation.
Yeah,
Oh,
that you know what that was so good, Aretha. Thank you for just allowing having the space. It's for people who have a passion and a drive to help others or to see change. And usually nonprofits start that way. And you have to have some type of passion and drive because operating a nonprofit is definitely not going to be easy. It is paper heavy. And what I
yes.
mean by that is there are a lot of I's that need to be dotted, a lot of T's that need to be crossed. I once told somebody one time, everything that happens in that nonprofit, every word pretty much that's said needs to be documented.
Yes.
And if you're providing any type of service or you're attending meetings or doing different things of that nature, that information needs to be documented. And before you start a nonprofit, take the time to think about what it's going to cost. Not just the financial side of the house, but the time that it's going to take. And is this a good time for you to start a nonprofit? Or is this a good time for you to partner with someone who's already started a nonprofit? That's something also to think about.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that partnering, which is the word that they use in the space now in the sector is collaboration. We're going to talk about that. But I want to roll back to, I want to hear your story of why you started your nonprofit. And then I'll talk about why I started my nonprofit. And I think I'll go first because yours is much more better. So I'll just go. I was in the Navy when I started my nonprofit. And I was in chef school. Crazy girl. I do so many things. That's see that the people you who started a nonprofit, that's you. That's you. You do all those things. You start a nonprofit while you're doing that. That I'm talking about you. So yeah, I went to chef school. So I was going to chef school, Johnson Wells University, go Wildcats, Thursday night, Friday night, and then all day Saturday. But while I was in school, and by the way, let me back out. Let me back up. I went to chef school because I was doing wedding cakes. I went to a little cake decorating class
Interesting.
to make my kid's birthday special. And I was like, oh, I really like this. I was loving the cakes, taking them to work. And then this one girl who I was on active D with, she said, I'm getting married. Would you do my cake? And I was like, sure. So I made a little two-tier cake and it was beautiful. And I'm like, look, I can do wedding cakes. You know us. I can do wedding cakes. So I
Yeah.
started doing cakes, and then I met this lady that had a floral business, and she said, "Hey, there's a bridal show coming in town. You should get a booth." And I'm like, "Okay." So it was the booth was only $200 back then. I went and got a booth, made a cake, cut it in small pieces so people can take samples. By the way, I was using Duncan Hines. Uh, yeah. So
Shh,
and
we
then,
won't tell.
but yeah, but hey, I'm gonna tell you what I learned in chef school though. I made little samples, and then I booked weddings for the next 3 years. I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm in the wedding cake business. And I thought I needed to go to
Wow.
chef school because I thought I was intimidated. I had that what they call it
Mhm.
now? Imposter
Imposter
syndrome.
syndrome?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Bad, bad. And so I enrolled in chef school thinking that I was going to learn more baking and pastry, but all they had was a culinary art training program. And I was like, I don't want to do this, but I started it. It was $30,000 to go, and so I was like, well, I don't want to start and stop. So I kept going,
Mhm.
but in the middle of the chef school, I noticed that we would prepare meals. When I say meals, we the 12 excuse me, the 12 hours we were there on Saturday, we did
Wow.
15 course meals. Did you hear me? Not three,
Wow.
four, 15 courses, all different. We were broken up in groups, and so we would taste each group's food. And so there were 15 courses prepared. And the food that we didn't eat, guess what happened? It got
Mm.
thrown away. And so
Oh,
on my way home, I would always see homeless people, and I'm like, wow, we should be giving this food to the homeless. Why do we throw it
wow.
away? And I told my chef instructor, I was like, why are we throwing this food away? He's like, because we can't give it to them. What if they get sick? It becomes a
Right,
health crisis, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why there were times when some restaurants wouldn't let you take food home.
right.
Um, and so I thought, I need to start my own nonprofit culinary arts job training program. And because I
Wow.
was like, there's so many things that people can learn from, the knife skills, and they would be able to get a job and plus feed themselves. And so that's what I did.
Mhm.
I started Able Community Kitchen School. And so the
Wow,
food that we
nice.
prepared, yeah, we would then go, and the food that we prepare, only if you are welfare work recipient, former incarcerated man or woman,
Mm.
or homeless, you could attend the training program. So that's how I started my nonprofit. And I know that sounds glamorous, but honey, I had so many problems, so many
Mm.
troubles. I never got harassed or bothered by anybody formerly incarcerated. None of the participants in the program, beautiful, wonderful people. It wasn't that. It was always the money. It was the time.
Mm.
It was the
Mhm.
energy. It was the food. I can go down a whole list. And so that's why I say, you have to count the cost and think about, are you really ready to start a nonprofit? So I know, is there anything that resonate with you in what I just said?
Oh, absolutely. Because people who start nonprofits usually started not from somebody else's life or somebody else's dream or someone else's vision. They usually start a nonprofit based on where they are, their station in life,
Yes.
and where they see an issue or a problem or something that can be solved or something that can help not only shift their community, but shift individuals who live in those communities. And I heard you say that you had the skills, the time doing the culinary school. The issue was as you were driving home, you saw people that were hungry, but you know that you had just thrown out all of this food that could have fed individuals who are on the streets hungry, and that resonated in you. That put a seed in you, if you will.
Yeah.
And that seed germinated into a nonprofit. And that's usually how nonprofits start. There's
Yeah.
either a crisis or there is an issue that you feel like you can solve, and different things that come up in your own personal emotions. And
Mhm.
nonprofits are birthed out of those emotions, out of those needs. And it's again, it's local, it's something that you see, you feel, something that has touched your life or something that has changed your life. And nonprofits, that is the fodder, if you will, or the seed that feeds into a nonprofit,
Yeah. So
if that
good. So
makes if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, and
Because
so
because
I do
go
want
ahead.
to dive in, like some of the hardship. We want to keep it personal because I know when if you're going through your nonprofit, if you're watching, you've already started a nonprofit, you already know what your pain points are. And
Mhm.
those who haven't started, you may hear something that you might say, "Oh, got to keep an eye out for that." So let's talk about some of those pain points when we first started. We know money. Every nonprofit, you know, you know that girl that's in Pakistan. She's I need 20,000 or more. That's us. We need money. We need money.
For sure, for sure.
So, but
Absolutely.
sometimes it's not always about money. Money is important, but
Mhm,
there are times like right now, my nonprofit, I could function without the money, but I need the
mhm.
people to volunteer to make it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But in your situation, you needed money.
Oh, yeah. I definitely needed money because of the structure of the nonprofit and what we were going to do. Because, when I first started out, just like most nonprofits, it was just me and a sister who started, and we set up shop. And our first desk were two dinner tables. Um, and we didn't have computers or anything of that nature, but I went around in the community and got computers donated. So, you know, when I think just reflecting back, when I even thought about starting a nonprofit, it wasn't that I was intending to start a nonprofit. I was intending to partner with other nonprofits who were doing the work that I wanted to do. Um, but when I went to those nonprofits to volunteer, if you will, or to help them out, I was rejected.
Wow.
Sort of like, people were suspicious of my
Ooh,
motives.
ooh.
Um,
Hold on. Let's
and
let's let's
because I had a
mm,
lot going on for me, if you will. I had a lot of corporate experience. I was well educated. So people were fearful of that, if you will, and they had no idea that if they would have told me to sweep the floor, clean the toilets, I would have done so without complaint
wow.
because I needed to serve women, men, and families that were experiencing domestic violence in
Wow.
any way, form, shape, or capacity. But when I got thrown out or rejected, if you will, I turned to the second alternative, and that was to start my own nonprofit.
Wow. I think I was gonna put a pin in that, but I think we need to discuss that because that's where a lot of people, I do all these webinars every week and people are like, um, we don't know where to go for help. We don't know.
Mhm,
And people always say partner with this person, but they're doing this partner, but they won't help us. And I know a lot of nonprofits get that. Like
mhm,
you wanted to go and learn and glean. And I know
right,
for people who may be starting a nonprofit, you want to go and learn from somebody else who's doing something similar and they're hoarding stuff or sharing something. Well, guess what you got now,
right.
honey? You got Chat GPT. Hello.
Oh,
You're in
hello,
you got
hello.
Chat GPT and you need to use
Indeed.
it. And if you're not using it, we're gonna talk about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will, for sure. That is a friend for sure.
That is a friend indeed. Look, that is a friend that is whatever you need, it is there. And so definitely be using
Mhm.
the power of AI. I think that's a whole we can go down a rabbit hole talking about that we got to say
For
that for
sure.
another webinar. I'm writing that down. If you see me looking down, I'm writing down. So, wow, I want to go back to when I was saying how some of the pain points that we both had and
Mhm.
I'll say for myself, I was moving too fast. And
Mm,
that is
mm.
what happens when you start
Yeah,
a nonprofit.
yeah,
I mean, they go fast. And that's me. I move fast.
yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes it moves faster. And then when people, I mean, the news heard about what I was doing, they put me on the news. And then
Oh my
what the
gosh.
next day, other people start hearing about it. I'm just like, it was getting too fast. And so I would say be careful of moving too fast because I
Right,
really didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. I didn't
right.
have a solid board. I had friends on the board. I didn't have
Mhm.
the right business people on the board. I had
Right,
friends on the board. I'm gonna say that again. I
right.
had friends
Friends.
on the
Yeah,
board.
yeah.
Yeah, and you need you need friends, but those friends need to be business friends and business associates, professionals, and they may have been professionals in their area, but they were on the board because they were
Mhm.
friends, and they were excited for me, they were happy for me, and
Absolutely.
that's all I got.
Yeah. And, a lot of nonprofits start there, um, because we're driven by the passion, to start the nonprofit, and we're not gonna let anything get in the way, not even the pain points. And another, and speaking of pain points, one of the biggest ones for me was I had no nonprofit education.
Mm,
Um, I
mm,
knew how to do business in a corporate, environment, but I did not know the nuances of nonprofits. And so I was building a nonprofit by the minute, if you will.
mm,
And that was trial and error, whatever you wanna call it.
mm,
I answered the needs of the day, not thinking about the needs of tomorrow. And when you're caught up in the needs of the day, tomorrow will take care of itself, and then tomorrow will become the needs of the day. So there was no real future planning. There was no strategic planning. There was just living by the moment.
mm,
What was needed at that time, and how could I resolve any issues that came up? Didn't really do any risk planning, risk management. Didn't do any of that. It was just who's on the phone right now? What do they need? How can I resolve it? How can I help? What issue do I need to deal with? And then in a given day, you're dealing with 10, 20 issues. And then the clock turns around and it's morning again. You haven't planned out the future. You haven't done any risk management. It's just living in the moment.
guys, we had to shut it down. Claudia just dropped so many nuggets. We had to shut it down. We had to shut it down because right here is what you're getting. You're getting the education right here, for free. And so we appreciate if you would hit that like button, if you would comment and share. And if you'd like to make an appointment to get further education, click the link in my bio to book an appointment with you. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you need. We are here to help. We have over 50 years experience together combined, in the nonprofit sector, setting up nonprofits, doing 501c3s, grant writing, grant reviews, and you name it. But stick around, folks. More is coming. We'll see you next time.